Welcome back to Grassroots Media. Welcome back to this week's edition of the Malone's Record Service Haun and Sauce Show, where we cover everything on the diamond with the West Green baseball and softball teams. As always, I'm joined here with baseball head coach Adrian Sauceman, but we're missing softball head coach Clinton Haun today. We're thinking about you, Coach. He's sick at the moment and can't be with us, but how you doing today?
Doing good. Doing good. It's a little warm outside now. Had a little rainstorm here earlier, and it's all nice and hot and humid now.
Yeah, I know. See the field behind us, still looking good even in the off season.
You got to try to keep up with it. We get off of it for a few days, we'll still get grass popping up through the dirt and all that stuff. I need to spray around the track. It's never ending, man.
Through the off season, how often do you come to the field and work on it?
Depends on what point in the year you're talking about.
Okay, let's say August. School's about to start back up.
School's about to start back up, and we're getting ready to overseed at that point, and fertilize and all that kind of stuff. So it's hours per week at that point. You're probably looking at about 3 to 5, I guess, somewhere in that range. I mean, nothing too awful crazy.
How about December?
December, there's usually not a whole lot to do. Usually get your last cut on it about then. Then you give it about 3 or 4 weeks before you mow it again. It's a good time to do edging, to edge out the infield and all that stuff. The kind of projects like you want to fill in the mound or, build up the mound or fill in the batter's box, stuff like that. It's usually a good time to do it before it gets good and cold. Kind of want to turn over the dirt again one more time before it sets in for the winter.
How about February? Season's about to roll around in February. How often are you working on it again?
February is a lot of work. If you keep up with it throughout the year, it's not as bad. So that's what I try to do, but just trying to get everything right for opening up play there, trying to get our dugouts and stuff. They over the off season they become a storage area a little bit, and you got to clean them up some, and some of the cosmetic stuff around the field, I guess, and stuff like that. You got to get patched up before you get games and all that stuff. So quite a bit more in February.
All right, last one. How about the Buddy Hawk Classic?
Buddy Hawk Classic, yeah, it depends on the weather.
If you're Jason Lowe, you're working on it day and night every hour of the day this year.
Yeah, he had a rough one this year. It's kind of funny too, because we had a couple showers come through, but that's about it. And I remember I think it was on that Friday night, he sent me a picture. It was probably about 7 o'clock. His field's under 3 inches of water, and we're playing here. There ain't a cloud in the sky or nothing. We're 20 minutes away, so it just storm hit them and missed us. We got lucky on it.
I think that happened another time earlier this year too, where it was the one we were doing up there in the press box, and we kept looking out, and it kept raining, and it would stop, and then it'd rain harder, and then it'd be a light sprinkle. And I don't know if you ended up playing that day here against Unaka, but I know that Haun and the girls went over to North Green and played, and it was sunny and 65, 70 degrees that day, and they were fine. It's amazing how a 20-minute difference.
It rained.
Or 20.
We were supposed to play at 6 o'clock, and it rained all up to about 6:30. We pushed start time back a little bit and played in some slop a little bit, but it was one of those situations where we hadn't played, and I think we played 2 games in like 16 days or something like that. So we were just desperate to get a game in, and then you get to the end of the season, and
every day,
we played 9 tournament games in a stretch of 10 days, and you're almost begging for a break at that point. I mean, it's weird how the season works out, but you have those breaks like that sometimes because of weather. So
it seems like that happens every May. You always have, or every April at the very end of the season. You have to cram everything in right there to make sure you get it in before the district tournament. And we talked about the district tournament last week when you were able to take home your first district tournament championship in school history. Advanced to regionals because of that. Played up at Pigeon Forge High School this past weekend on Friday and Saturday. Played Alcoa twice. Played the Rebels out there at South Green. Take me through that tournament this year. It was the 3rd straight trip to regionals. That was something you said had never happened in school history before. So take us through this year's edition.
Well, we've only had 5 of them. So
ever?
Yeah. I mean, obviously, 3
4
straight
since 2018, I know.
Yeah. For those seniors especially, to go from where they were freshman year, we won 3 games, and then to stack 3 regionals on top of each other. And I don't think the average person realizes how hard it is to make regionals in baseball and softball. You got to make it to the championship game. You think about it, in baseball, it's a double elimination tournament. We had to play 6 games to move on. So it's very difficult, and it's something we take a lot of pride in because it's like I said, it's hard to do. And it's not a given to anybody. Even you think about Greenville. They've, like I saw that they'd won like 13 straight district titles or something like that. But even then, you ask Andy Collins about it, he'll tell you the district tournament's hard to manage.
Yeah,
it's a lot easier if you win. But if you lose a game and have to go in through the losers bracket and try to fight your way back at it, it's hard to manage. We played 6 games in it and used 5 different pitchers. I thought going in we had a little bit of depth, and I'm certainly glad that we did because I think we had more depth than anybody else, and it paid off for us. But so yeah, it was awesome to make it to the regionals. We go down to Pigeon Forge, which we did that, I guess. And
guess it could be used both ways.
I don't know.
We live in the South. Do we really speak correctly?
That's not very good, is it?
No.
2 years ago, we went down there, and it's a single elimination game, and we're getting ready to. I think we'd won 14, 15 games that year. Had a decent year, just got hot at the right time. And we go down there and we see Dylan Loy, who's pitching for the Tennessee Vols right now.
Started last night.
Yeah, coming in and pitching some relief and conference play and stuff like that. So we ain't have a shot. We get up there and the kid's pumping 90 with a slider, and the 3 days prior to that, we've got the pitching machine set up as high as it'll go from about 45 feet, trying to get him ready for it, and it didn't work. But in that format, it's a single elimination game. That's all you got, And last year they changed it to a double elimination, and we open up with Union County, who I don't know if you realize or not had the best team in their school history.
Mm-hmm. State champions.
They go on to win a state.
Watched that game down there in Murfreesboro at, I can't remember the name of the field now, but go ahead.
Yeah, so that's who we opened up with last year. And then the second round game, we had to play Johnson County, who had one of the hottest stretches anybody I've ever seen.
Don't ever want to revisit that day.
Oh my gosh, no. So then, this year we've again very fortunate to make it. How tough it is to make it to that point. But we kind of come in with a different mindset. We're not just here to just compete, or we didn't come this far just to come this far. And we open up with Alcoa, which you talked about at the last show. That was a tough draw, and I didn't really want to say anything that it was or it wasn't, because Pigeon Forge is good too. But holy cow, Alcoa's good.
Mm-hmm. They're a good ball team.
I had some scouting on them a little bit there, and talked to a few guys, and I knew kind of what we was getting into. But man, if we played a better team this year, I don't know who it was. I would look for them to move on and do some damage there in the state. Wouldn't be terribly shocked to see them win it. They're just deep. Had 5 or 6 guys throwing in the 80s.
Hitting it to all sides of the field where you weren't.
We didn't even see their ace.
Wow.
Their ace had been out for about 2 weeks. He had some back trouble. The plan for them was to hold him off until sub-state if they could. And that was what they were able to do. And he's averaging about 2.3, 2.4 strikeouts per inning. There's only 3 outs.
There's only 3 outs an inning, yeah. So
yeah, he's the real deal apparently. So they're loaded. But we go down Friday, open up with them, and we give up 3 in the first. Walked 1, hit a couple, and they hit a bases clearing double, I think is what it was. And if we could have got out of that first inning with only 1 or maybe 2 runs, maybe it's a different story. But we get in there, we battle with them, and we saw their number 2 and their number 3, both really good pitchers, 1 righty, 1 lefty. We scratched off 3 against them, and it's 5-3 going into the 7th. We're actually in the bottom of the 6th. We had a chance. We had runners on 2nd and 3rd with 1 out. We couldn't get either one of them in. So that was kind of frustrating. I think it probably took a little bit of wind out of the sails. And top of the 7th, I think we give up 3 right there. So it ends up being an 8-3 game. But it wasn't an 8-3 game.
Outside of those 3, it's pretty impressive. You outscore them 3-2. Outscore outside of that 1st and 7th inning.
Yeah, but the thing about it is you can't take those games, take those innings away.
Mm-hmm.
You got to play it as it is. So, but we've a heck of a fight there. we just come up short, and then the next day we had most of our boys stayed in a cabin down there that night.
Smart.
Kind of all stayed together and stuff, which is cool for them, I'm sure. As a coach, I'm looking at them like, I don't like it.
Yeah.
I don't want them staying up till 4 o'clock in the morning and then trying to get up and play. And then also we're going to have no prep going into the game. So I made a few calls and got a hold of a guy down there, Pigeon Forge, and we were able to pick up a field to go practice on. Well, not really practice, but take some BP, take a little bit of fun go before. And I arranged it early enough that they would have to get up out of bed.
That's smart.
Well, I didn't think it was dumb. That's why I did it.
That's smart.
We did that, and then give them a little time before we get over and eat. And so we were prepared for it, and I could tell then that one that they were prepared for it.
Yeah.
But two, that they were looking forward to winning 2 games. Because like I said, we've been before, and it's just kind of like we're happy that we're there. We've accomplished what we want to accomplish, and that's it is what it is now. But that wasn't the feeling that I got from them, and that was really good to see. So we go into the South Green game. It's McCamey versus Crum, and we knew it was going to be tough. We were able to scratch off.
That was a low-scoring game earlier this year. I think it was a 4-0 final.
We were able to scratch off a couple runs early on them. I think we scored 5 in the first 2. That was huge because we didn't score much the rest of the way.
Mm-hmm.
I think we got 2, maybe in the 6th to really kind of ice it there. But Crum, man, he's a good pitcher. The unfortunate thing for him is we had seen him so much. Just this year alone, counting those 7 innings, we had seen him 21 innings.
Yeah,
that's a lot of pitches, and everybody has had multiple at bats against him. You can be as good as you want if somebody sees you that much. It's tough, And not to mention the 3 years prior, how many times we've seen him. I mean, he's been starting since he was a freshman.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he had a great career out there. Good kid too. I think a lot of him. But we were able to get a couple early on him, and probably took the wind out of ourselves a little bit. And we were able to hold on and put Connor in those last 2 innings, and that was a little scary move on my part because it was 5-1 at that point, and you put Connor in, and if something goes haywire, then that's the move that screwed everything up, But the thinking with that was we're going to try to save some pitches for that second game, and it wasn't that we didn't have confidence in Connor, because obviously we did. We wouldn't have made the move if we didn't, but it's just still a scary move to make.
Paid off though.
It did. Connor come in and did his job. He got out of it when 20, 30 pitches, something. I mean, it was minimal.
2 scoreless, hitless innings.
Yeah.
2 perfect
threw
innings.
it well, and we saved 59 pitches for Braden there in the second game. So we move on. We advance out of that. Of course, that's the first.
That's what I was going to touch on. That's the first regional
won.
win you've ever had.
Of course, it's a different format now than what it always has been in the past, but it's still getting a win at that level is something we'd never done before.
To earn that special in its own right.
Sure. And then, of course, with it being South Green, too, I mean, you got that extra little motivation, I guess, there. But because we played them 4 times in a span of like 6 or 7 days.
Yeah.
It's kind of crazy how it worked out. But, yeah, then we go into that Alcoa game, and, I mean, we're feeling good about the plan, We've got Judd, Braden, Connor, Carp available. And where those guys stack up against the Alcoa pitchers, I don't know. Probably a little bit short. They're studs, but we felt good about what we had. And first inning there, I think we give up 4, maybe something like that. We just had a couple walks, couple hit batters, and couldn't get out of our own way a little bit. And then it was. I mean, we battled. Towards the end of the game, there we had. Judd and Mason both were both hurting. One had a hamstring, one had a groin going on, and of course you start to feel the effects of 9 tournament games in 10 days. It's not just 9 regular season games where it's not a lot on the line. It's do or die games.
You got to play every inning.
Stressful. So it added up a little bit, I think, and And, we come up short, but one game don't define a season, good or bad. So I'm just proud of what these guys did this year.
And then one of the things I wanted to touch on is the records that you were able to set, because with that win over South Green, you got your 22nd win of the year. That tied for the single season win mark that you were able to set in 2018 that we talked about last week. And you had a lot of individual records too. I know you posted last night through Twitter and on Facebook that you had 3 different players that set numerous records. So go ahead and touch on that and talk about each of the records that you were able to set this year.
I don't know if I'll be able to remember them all. There was
We'll
several
pull them
there. Okay. We can start with Judd. I remember that one pretty easy. So the runs record, he set it.
Last year.
He broke his own record from last year, right. And so obviously with that, he ended up breaking the career record too. He broke the career record pretty early this year. But he added on to it, probably to a level that it probably won't be touched, I would think. Hopefully it is. Hopefully we have some good players coming up too. Mason, I think he ended up 3rd on the list with 70-some runs. I can't remember exactly what it was. Judd got the career stolen bases record. He already had it last year. He just added on to it this year. He's got the top 2 season totals now, because he set the record last year and he come up like 6 short of last year's number this year.
Interesting one. 19 hit by pitches.
Yeah, it's
breaks his own record again.
Painful record to have there. I'll have to total up his career because I don't remember what he did his first 2 years, but I mean, he's got to be up there on the state leaderboard, I would think. But he was the perfect leadoff hitter for us the last 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
And last year he hit about 270, 280. This year he hit like 350, which is really good. But his OBP, his on base percentage, was up almost 550. And I've told him for 4 years, I said, son, I don't care how you get on. I don't care what you do to get on. Just get on base. Still, we're going to score you.
He listened.
It worked really well. I don't know that he always enjoyed getting hit. You could see it sometimes.
Yeah.
He'd flip that guard off and throw it down. It was pretty funny. But he had a couple umpires scared a couple times, thought he was going to start a fight. Like, no, it's just what he does. So
19 hit by pitches, but I mean, it did lead to that single season runs record that he broke again.
I tell you, he probably won't have the career record. John and Bass is going to get it.
Okay.
Because he had, I think, 10 last year and he had 14 this year.
Okay.
And I don't think Judd had that many his first 2 years. So if Jonan stays on that path,
he's got it.
Yeah, I don't know that he wants to, because it's a painful way to get there.
That's true. Yeah. But through the first 2 years, he's on pace.
So we, as a team, we got hit 61 times this year, and I love that more than just about anything. And it sounds funny, but the reason I love that is because when you got a guy that's standing in the box and he sees the pitch coming at him, he can bail out and he can be selfish, or he can stand there and take it and get down to first base for his team. To me, in baseball, that's one of the most unselfish plays you can have, is to get hit by a pitch, because you just stand in there and take it. And Judd, he probably should have had about 3 or 4 more this year. Umpires ruled that he maybe leaned into it or elbowed it.
Yeah.
Whatever. But it's one of my favorite things, though. It's so unselfish. I love that.
Then you got the McCamey brothers.
Yeah, good Lord.
Braden and Mason. Well, which one do you want to start with?
Whichever one. Them boys.
We'll go with Mason. We'll keep going with the seniors.
Okay.
So Mason McCamey tied school record with 15-game hit streak for the season, 47 hits, tied season record with 12 doubles, a 2.27 ERA, and then career records: 123 hits, 80 RBIs, 164 strikeouts. That's as a pitcher, not as a batter.
Oh, good gosh. Yeah. If he struck out that much, why are we in the lineup?
Why would you have him on the team?
No, he's been great for us, man. The hits, this is a nice little tidbit. So once it come time for the postseason, I keep track of all those numbers and stuff. I'll update it after every game, so I know where everybody's at. But once it hit postseason time, I refused to tell anybody anything, because I only wanted them focused on the numbers. So Mason broke the hits record, the season hits record, here against South Green
while Noah was on base
with the grand slam.
Okay.
That was the one that broke the record. How cool was that?
Noah held that record, didn't he?
He did.
Yeah.
And Noah was over another dugout when it happened. Yep. Noah had it at 39. Braden hit 40 this year, so if not for Mason, he would have broke it this year, which is ironic because the strikeout record for game, Braden broke it twice.
And Mason was one behind him.
Sure.
I think that next game, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. But Mason, he'd had a great career here. He'd been in the lineup pretty much since day one. Struggled a little bit his freshman year, kind of getting adjusted to things, but man, he just took off from there.
That was one thing I was thinking about last night. When you look at his career numbers, you've got to put him up there on a list of like best players to ever come through the school career-wise. Because you hold the record for hits and RBIs, you almost hold the career Triple Crown.
Yeah.
And then strikeouts as a pitcher, you hold that for the moment. I'm sure his brother's probably catching up.
As far as the Triple Crown, the batting average, he finished either third or fourth. I can't remember.
Okay.
It was like a 360 career batting average, which is pretty good.
It's remarkable, yes.
That was much better than what I had. I'll say that. He hit 430 this year, which really good.
Also remarkable.
He had 12 doubles going into the district tournament play, the start of district tournament play. You know how many doubles he had? Three. He had 9 doubles.
He had 2 in one game, I think.
He had 9 doubles in 9 postseason games.
Wow.
It's unreal. But probably my favorite thing about that with him, it's a direct translation of what he did in the cage. And, part of it was when the team is there, but he spent a lot of time on his own too. Whether it be here, whether it be other places, him and Braden both. And I hope that's something that all of our younger guys, our guys coming back, can see. You want success like that on the field. That's the sacrifice that you got to make.
It was a hard-working group of seniors.
It was, and that's not just the seniors, but as far as the whole team right there. That's why we had the success that we had. These guys were willing to put into work, and they cared about each other. And Mason definitely exemplified that. He's got the career strikeout record too, like you said. He'll have it for about 2 or 3 starts in the next year. Braden's about 20 behind him.
Yeah, because that's what I was about to mention. Moving forward into Braden, single game records, he had 14 strikeouts twice, I think, in back-to-back games, which is crazy to think about. Yeah. Season records, 9 wins, 87 strikeouts, pitched 73 innings, and tied the school record with 7 complete games. And then for a career, he's already got the record with 14 wins. And have 87 in a single season, knowing that his brother holds the record with 164. That's why I said he's got to be knocking on the door, because pitching last year too, he's got to have a lot of strikeouts too. So Braden, another one of those players that we're going to be talking about a lot next year, and probably going to be talking about a few more records next year. But for the moment, he's got a slew of records right here that we could talk about.
Yeah, I think Braden's got some potential to go on to the next level too. For one, on the academic side of things, he's taking care of business there too, and that. You know how it is with baseball. With college baseball, you've got to have academic money to move on.
Yeah, you're a student athlete.
Football, you get a full scholarship. Basketball, you get a full scholarship. Baseball, even a Division I program, 35 athletes, they give 11.7 scholarships. You got to split them up. Mm-hmm. So if you have academic money, you're much more marketable to anybody around. And I think Braden gets that, and we've got a couple of guys that do too. And I think we'll have an opportunity because of that. But yeah, Braden, good gosh, what more could you ask for from the kid? 87 strikeouts. Those are all state numbers.
Yeah.
And Mason's offensive production, I think, is, in my opinion, is all state numbers too. We'll see how that shakes out. Hopefully for both of them, they get it. And Judd, probably not far off consideration for it too. I don't think, especially with the runs and stolen bases and stuff like that. But I don't know. We'll see how all that shakes out over the next few weeks. But Braden, it was a special year, and hopefully next year we can even top that. And he's already wanting to work with a pitching coach and wanting to start some workouts and stuff like that. We've been done for less than a week.
Not even that.
I mean,
today's Wednesday, so yeah,
it's a special kid right there, man. And we got a lot of them like that right now. That's why we've had the success that we've had this year.
Sorry, my attention got taken away for a second. Tuna has taken the glasses off.
Yeah. Well, it's got
the shades come off.
Got a little cloudy, I guess. Tuna's not just the baseball manager. He's pretty much the manager for everything around here.
Yep.
You might say he's the school manager too. He tells Mr. Wilds what to do too.
I hear it a lot too. Coming to basketball games and sitting up there. Volleyball games too.
Got a little football spring practice over there right now. Looking a little bit thin, but I don't know if it's still got any in track right now or not. But I think but about 20 or 25 of them out there right now. Hopefully they get their numbers up.
If you're a student watching this, go play football.
Watch them play football, man. The baseball boys, go play football.
Just don't get hurt.
Makes you tough. Even if you do get hurt, you got a little bit of time to recover. Hopefully you don't. Please don't.
We'll go into break though. We'll get a little bit of a lighthearted conversation in the second half. We'll close this out, but before we do, we need to go ahead and get a few words from our sponsors. So we'll be right back in just a minute here on Grassroots Media.
For more than 30 years, Tommy's Plumbing has served customers in East Tennessee with licensed and professional plumbing services. From installing your new faucet to replacing your existing piping system, our team at Tommy's Plumbing is trained to handle the job with professionalism, attention to detail, and integrity. By offering warranties on most products installed by our technicians, Tommy's Plumbing stands behind our work, ensuring that your plumbing needs are not only met, but that your problem is solved for the long term. When you need reliable and professional plumbing service, Tommy's is the only call to make. So give us a call today and let us show you the Tommy's difference. At Corner Pond, the friendly and knowledgeable staff has the experience necessary to help you out regardless the need. Have an item of value you'd like to pawn or sell? Corner Pond can help. They pawn numerous items of value, including firearms, tools, ammunition, silver, coins, and much more. When you walk through their doors, you'll find well-stocked shelves full of electronics, gaming systems, fishing and hunting equipment, car audio and accessories. And don't forget about the room full of guitars and basses and amplifiers, or their outside lawn and garden equipment. Corner Pond is a case knife dealer and carries numerous used knives as well. Stop by and let the friendly staff at Corner Pond help you today at 432 East Bernard Avenue, Greenville, Tennessee.
Welcome back to Grassroots Media. Welcome back to this week's edition of the Malone's Record Service Haun and Sauce Show, where we cover everything on the diamond with the West Green baseball and softball teams. Just here with baseball head coach Adrian Saltzman this time. What's up?
Sorry to interrupt. That was Malone's Record Service truck just went down
the
bridge right there.
That's awesome.
Well, lights are on, so that's probably not awesome for somebody.
Well, that's not good. But maybe they watched the show. Yeah. Maybe they saw the number pop up the 27 times it's happened this year.
Right,
so that might be the tagline this time.
Yeah.
They came through right on cue.
They did.
Unfortunate for somebody, but I guess fortunate for them.
Yeah. Well, hopefully they call my good buddy Hop. And
hopefully so.
Hopefully they get a little discount for it.
Got to mention it again. Missing Coach Haun. Thinking about him.
Yep. It's a big gap to fill.
It is. I wasn't going to say it this week. I was going to leave it to you.
Well, yeah, he's a little down right now, but hopefully he gets feeling better.
Hopefully he watches this and it cheers him up.
Yeah. Hey, cheer up, Haun. It's almost Friday.
That's true. Almost the end of the school year.
Yeah, you're right. I tell you, I am. It's hard as a baseball coach when your season ends and you've got about a week left before school gets out. I was talking to Jason about this today. It's hard to stay motivated as a teacher. Those last few days right there. I mean, it's hard for everybody.
It's like purgatory. It's like, what do you do?
Oh my gosh. I've gotten a lot of paperwork done. I've also been bored out of my mind.
So. Are you on the roads any this time of the year or no?
Yeah, we're finishing up.
Okay.
Probably tomorrow, probably our last day driving.
Okay.
Because we got finals Monday and Tuesday, so and that's a paper test for the ones that have to take it. So it's tough though.
Yeah.
There's just I don't know. I mean, you're working on schedules for next year and stuff like that, but of course, getting caught up on any grading and whatever that you got to do with all that. But it's tough.
No motivation.
No. Oh, you got to find ways. So
let's recap the season a little bit. Let's end on a good note this year. The last half of this show this year, we'll talk about some of the good moments throughout the year. I've got 4 questions to ask you. I've asked every other coach that I've talked to at the end of their season. I'll ask you the same. I want to start off with the first one. Let's talk about some of your favorite moments throughout the season. It can be during the game. It can be during practice, meetings, workouts, on the bus, eating as a team. What have been some of your favorite moments throughout the year that not a lot of people probably know about?
well, I'm glad you phrased it that way, not just in game, because I'm thinking in games. I'll give you one for in game there. I don't. There's several to choose from.
Absolutely.
We had a pretty good year. I favorite moment, one that's going to stick out for a good while. I got to go with Mason's grand slam here against South Green. Not just the hit, but the way everything that led to it.
Mm-hmm.
I think we had 2 outs at the time, and we'd had, I think, 3 other bunts in the inning, kind of leading up to that. We'd had a slash, playing some small ball, and then we bust out the grand slam right there. That was a huge moment. Just seeing how fired up everybody got about it and stuff like that. That was cool. One of the other favorite moments, driving a bus this year.
You drove with the bus?
That was a new adventure for me.
How many times?
Well, every game.
Did you?
Yeah.
Every game? Okay.
Yeah, I got my CDL back in the fall there for this. And, the first trip, I guess, was to Hancock County.
Oh, my gosh. Was that the first time you ever drove the bus?
No. See, obviously not the first time I'd ever drove one. But
okay.
The first trip I took for a ball game, I took girls basketball to Crockett one night.
That's not as bad.
Well, the reason being, I wanted to take somebody else on the trip first before I go handle all the trip plus my game that I'm thinking about too.
Yeah.
So it wasn't my first ball game trip, but it was a little sketchy. It's a little sketchy going over there anyways, tough roads and stuff.
Especially driving a bus.
And we had an old crappy one too. Bus 23. I don't know if you guys see this or not. We need to get that one off the road.
23. That's usually a good number.
Well, you'd think so. It's not Michael Jordan bus, though. I can tell you that. Ended up going with bus 90 the rest of the year. That was a good trade for us. We get definitely one of my favorite moments. We stopped at McDonald's in Morristown on the way back from that game. Mason, big tuna. Of course, he's ready to get something to eat. We're talking about the bus ride. He said, "Salzman, why'd you pick that raggedy old bus?" That thing it felt like it was overheating every 30 seconds.
Tuna doesn't mince words either.
He does not.
He speaks what is on his mind.
And he come in the next day and he asked Mr. Wilds the same thing. And it must have worked because we never had to take it again. So that's definitely one of my favorite moments right there. It's a good year in a lot of ways. I can't pinpoint one specific day that was like really good and awesome, but also I can't pinpoint one bad day with them. We had the Unicoi loss early in the year, and we get beat 20-0. And honestly, man, it could have been 35-0 if they wanted to be. Anything they wanted to do that day, they did it to perfection, and we couldn't do anything. It's just how it goes sometimes in baseball. Even that day, I didn't hate them or nothing.
Mm-hmm.
It's just we just got beat that day, But man, it was just a really fun group of kids to coach, and I'm thankful for that.
One of the questions that kind of parlays into that with favorite moments is favorite memories. What have been some of those favorite memories that you've had?
Well, the one with Tuna there.
Yeah, absolutely. Tuna's is always going to be.
Well, I tell you, he's good for some one-liners, man.
I think he's one of our most loyal viewers and fans of Grassroots Media.
Is he?
He says he watches most of the shows.
All right.
I don't know if he watches every single one of them, but he watches a lot of them. So
shout out to you then, Mason.
Yeah, if any other coach is watching this, you better watch out. Coach or Tuna might be.
You might as well call him coach.
Yeah, he's with all the teams, but he might be a scout. He's out there scouting everybody.
Yeah.
That's why he's watching. He's out there scouting. He's coming to all these coaches. He's feeding info.
I'll give you another one on Mason then. We have that base cart right there. We had all 3 of them It's just on a dolly. It's redneck as all get out what I've done right there.
Yeah.
But it's super efficient. And it costs about $200 less than a base cart from BSN. So,
Sure.
So we take that thing, and of course we got base plugs and all our anchors there. You pull up the base plug, you put the base down, you roll over to the next one. Should take a minute, maybe 2 to do if you're really kind of taking your time. There was one game we come out here, and that was always Mason's job to put the bases in after I got through dragging, while the team's getting ready to warm up and stuff. And he had already put third base in, and he was at second base. He was already there, kind of playing around with the dirt a little bit. I don't know how long he had been there, but he was at second base already. I took my stopwatch. I started it. Tyler, how long do you think it took him to put in second base and first base? It should take about a minute altogether.
I'm going to go 7.
9 minutes.
9 minutes to put it. Okay.
It took that boy 9 minutes to put in second base. I laughed so hard. And I was telling all the other boys about it too, and we was all cracking up. But man, it was great having him, though. I love that kid.
He's a loyal viewer. He won't come on the shows. We've invited him.
Yeah, he's a little scared, I think.
That's all right.
A little bashful.
He's got time.
Which is ironic because he talks to everybody all the time.
That's true. Sometimes when you get a camera in front of
Sure.
him, it's a little different.
Sure, it is sometimes, I guess. But just about anything with him, though, favorite memory, I guess. But I don't know. It's of course, there's probably several memories that are going to stick out to me for a while that I probably can't put on camera.
That's all right. That's all right. You've got some of those.
Just funny stories and stuff that comes up. I mean, you spend so much time with these boys, funny things come up. And I don't know. It was a really enjoyable team, I'll say that.
Yeah. What have been some of your favorite games throughout the year? You had plenty of games throughout the year. 33, 22 of them resulted in wins, tied the school record. What have been some of those favorites that you've been a part of?
One of them, it's about week 3, I think. We had just lost both games to Chucky Doak by 1 run each, Monday and Tuesday. Heartbreaking losses. We come in Wednesday, talk about it for about 5 minutes, have one of our best practices of the year. At that point, I know we got something special, because you have losses like that, man. It's tough to come back from. But the team was focused, and kind of our leadership crew right there. Fantastic job getting guys ready to go. It's over now. Move on. Mm-hmm. The next day, which is Thursday, we go out to Granger County. We used to play Granger in our district. Mm-hmm. I went back and looked. Counting this win against them, we're 2-15 against them.
All time.
Not a great record at all, right? And we go out there and we have 5 errors in the first inning. We're ready to play. That's not what it is, I don't think. It's just throwing error, fielding error here. I think we had 3 on one play. Open up about as ugly as you can open up. We ended up getting down 7-2 after 3 innings. And in the back of my mind, I'm kind of thinking, man, maybe we got that Chucky Doak hangover with us a little bit. I don't know. We just started piecing it together a little bit. We ended up going 8 innings and beating them 12-11. It's a good team. I don't remember where they ended up finishing in their district. At the time, they were second. It's a good team, good program. It's tough to beat Granger. And for us to come out and play like that, especially given the circumstances that we were just in, that's got to be one of my favorite games. Both tournament games against Chucky Doak, I think were awesome. We go out there and it's McCamey versus Derry. Mm-hmm. It's a big time matchup, and it's another one of them that you're thinking runs are at a premium there. It didn't start out that way. We both scored quite a bit early. I think we ended up winning 9-4. Scratched a few off late against them there too, but
runs were certainly a premium in that next game.
Yeah. Yeah, it was. We were down 1-0 going to the top of the 7th. I mean, we had some...
Through 6 innings, there was 1 run.
We had some opportunities, but we couldn't ever scratch anything off. And then, that's an elimination game, too. Mm-hmm. I mean, you're thinking... Back of your mind, you're thinking, like, how are you going to what are you going to say in the post-game meeting and stuff like that? You're trying to push that off and focus on the right here, right now. But, man, it creeps up on you a little bit. And I'm sure for, our seniors are in the back of their mind think that this is it.
Yeah, because you're down 3 outs.
Sure. We get there and we score 3 in the top of 7th and then end up holding them. It wasn't done yet, though. Gosh, they scored 1, and then they got the runner on first with Derry up to bat.
Offensive player of the year.
2 outs. Offensive player of the year. Dude's just a tank.
Most home runs in the conference.
Sure. He gets a hold of 1, and it's, if he does, our season's over at that point. I think I said on the show, I went back and forth about 20 times in those few seconds right there what to do.
And you probably thought back to the play earlier this year whenever he hit one onto that hill over there whenever you played here in the regular season.
And he did it the night before against Happy Valley, too.
And you're in that same situation.
Sure.
If that happens, season's over.
Season's over, but I put a lot of trust in our guys. I think that may be my biggest takeaway from this year is how much trust I was able to put in the guys this year. I'm only able to do that because of how hard they worked and the effort that they put into it.
That's probably got to be one of those favorite memories, too.
Oh, my gosh, yeah.
That moment right there probably had the most weight out of any moment this
Sure.
year, knowing that right there on that at-bat, you could have either advanced or been eliminated right there with one swing of the bat or one pitch.
You have that. On the mound, we got our number 4 pitcher. And I've said it before, he's not our number 4 because he's bad.
Mm-hmm.
We had 3 really good ones ahead of him. He's our number 4 pitcher. We got a sophomore behind the plate that's calling pitches. I'm not even calling pitches in that moment. That's terrifying, right?
It's out of your hands completely.
It is. But I put so much trust in those guys this year to get the job done, and I think they play better when they have that knowledge that their coach is confident in.
Yeah.
And they played free this year. Now that doesn't mean that I didn't get on them when I needed to, because I certainly did when they do something stupid. But to have the trust in those guys to do that and for them to come through is awesome. And that's one of them things too. If we make a bad pitch decision right there, or if it's poor execution and he just hammers one, I can't get upset with him about that. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
You got to live with the results if you're going to coach that way. And it's probably my favorite team I've ever had just because of the trust I was able to have in those guys. That was a huge moment to them. And then the South Green game here, one of them, played several there in the last few days, but the one where we would put up a 9-run inning, several bunts. We've executed a small game for the first time in forever.
Mm-hmm.
And then Mason get the grand slam, and then, of course, the next 2 days, you got the weather suspending that one game, all that stuff. But it's kind of a whirlwind, all jams together, but at the same time, little moments stick out to you.
But did you expect it? Like, the way the weather had been this year, it almost was it was almost a guarantee that you'd come down to the district tournaments and something like that would happen, where weather was going to postpone something mid-game or something like that. And it was almost like a given that it was going to happen.
So I've been a tournament director for the last, 7 or 8 years. Every stinking year it comes up. And we have, on my computer, I've got like plan A, plan A. There was one year I made like plan G. That's been about 3 or 4 years ago. It's awful. Somebody else should do this. That way I don't have to worry about it. But I don't know. What was the last one we got?
Well, there's one thing I want to say before that.
Okay.
You know where I came from before this, right? I was over at North Green. And I asked that same question to Coach Jason Lowe. And he said one of his favorite wins was the one that he was able to take over you all at Dandelion Field over there.
Yeah, okay. So my favorite win of all time ever is at the start of the year out here. We had them and beat them 13-10. That was the juice game, you know.
Oh, yeah, we can't talk about that.
Oh, yeah, sorry, it's all hush-hush. I think we cranked out about 20 hits against those suckers. It's starting to rain here. It's per usual.
I've done about 400 of these interviews. This is the first one it's ever rained here, and so it was bound to happen at some point.
Nice. No, it was – congrats to Coach Lowe there, man. We had a really good year and still couldn't sweep them.
Last question I got before we get to it. What's one thing you'll always remember about this team?
A couple of things. One, how hard they worked. Two, how close this team was. It's probably the closest team I've ever had. and 3, how much trust I had in them.
Absolutely.
Because of those 2 things. And they're just great kids. So we got great families, and that's the reason why they are great kids.
I think that's all we've got. Getting a little wet.
Yep.
Took the jacket off because it was hot. Wasn't any rain clouds in the sky. And then, we end the show with a little light sprinkle. But, Coach, appreciate you once again. Hey, I didn't mess up your name again today. I ended the year on an absolute heater. I need to go to Vegas now in the off season.
Your streak was almost as good as Mason's. He ended up with a 15-game
Yeah.
hit streak to finish the season. He had a 7-game early in the season, too.
That's awesome.
Yeah. That boy, that's all he did this year. Was hit.
Streaks. That's all we've got, though. Thank you all for watching this year's edition of the Malone's Record Service Haun and Sauce Show. Look forward to seeing y'all next time here on Grassroots Media.